Have you ever listened to the way you speak? To others, or worse, to yourself? Some wounds are invisible. They don't come from what others said, but from what you've been saying inside your own head for years. I'm not enough. I always ruin things. No one really cares. These phrases may sound small, but they echo endlessly in the body. They make the chest tighten, the breath shallow, and the spirit tired. Your words don't just describe your world, they build it. Each sentence you speak becomes a stone in the foundation of your life. The kind words create shelter. The cruel ones, especially the ones you whisper to yourself, become walls that block light. In Zen, there's a saying, before you speak, let your words pass through three gates. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Speech is not merely sound, it is energy, vibration, consciousness made audible. Every word carries intention, and that intention either heals or harms. Monks believe that speaking is a sacred act. It's a form of creation. Your words don't leave your mouth and vanish. They ripple through minds, through rooms, through your own nervous system. Think about it. How many times have you regretted words you can't take back? How many times has silence hurt just as much as shouting? By the end of this video, you'll learn how to use your words like medicine. You'll see how gentle speech can calm the body, how mindful conversation can heal relationships, and how kind inner dialogue can transform your emotional landscape, one conscious word at a time. But before words can heal, we must first understand how they wound. 1. The hidden wounds of words. Every harsh word leaves an echo, not just in the ears of the one who heard it, but in the heart of the one who spoke it. The moment anger turns into speech, it doesn't disappear when the conversation ends. It lingers. It vibrates. It lives inside the nervous system, like a bell that won't stop ringing. Think about the last time you spoke out of frustration. The words came fast, sharper than you intended. Maybe you apologized later, but part of you still feels heavy. Why? Because the mind knows that words, once released, can never truly be taken back. You can't take back an arrow once it's been released, said a Zen master to a student who had shouted at another monk in anger. The student, ashamed, returned to his teacher and said, "I'll go apologize." The master simply nodded. Yes, apologize, but remember, even if the arrow is removed, the wound remains. Speak as if your words were arrows tipped in energy. This is the hidden truth most people ignore. Our words are energy made visible. They don't vanish. They leave imprints. A single sentence can either harden the body or help it relax. When we speak harshly, the body tenses. When we speak kindly, it softens. Words are not just air. They are commands the body obeys. Every insult, every judgment, every cruel remark you say to yourself creates a vibration of fear. I'll never be enough. I always fail. They don't care about me. These sentences replay like background noise in the mind. Over time, they create grooves in your inner world, deep pathways of anxiety, shame, and fatigue. And yet, because they are silent, no one else hears them. You walk through life smiling, but inside, the echo grows louder. In Buddhist teaching, this inner chatter is known as the second arrow. The first arrow is what happens to you. The second is what you say to yourself afterward. You can't always avoid the first, but the second, you can choose to lie down. Harsh speech activates fear. Kind speech invites safety. When you yell at someone, even if you're right, their nervous system constricts. The body hears danger in tone long before it understands words. Likewise, When you speak to yourself with compassion, your body takes a breath it didn't know it was holding. It begins to trust again. Zen masters understood this centuries ago. They practiced right speech, one of the Eightfold Path teachings of the Buddha, not because they feared punishment, but because they saw how words shape the energy of the heart. Right speech doesn't mean perfect speech. It means speech that creates harmony rather than division. Most of us have been wounded by words we can't forget. A parent who said, "You'll never make it." A friend who turned cruel when angry. A lover whose silence cut deeper than shouting. Those words live inside the body, sometimes for decades. But here's the paradox. We also wound ourselves every day with the same tone we once received from others. We become our own critic, our own punisher. Awareness is the first medicine. Once you become aware of how you speak to yourself and to others, you can begin to change it. You can catch the sharpness before it leaves your lips. You can soften the tone before it lands on someone's heart. You can replace the inner critic's voice with a gentler one. Try noticing just one moment today when your words tighten your chest or someone else's shoulders. That's your invitation. The moment you become aware, you're already healing. Because healing doesn't start with silence. It begins with awareness. And awareness turns words from weapons into instruments of peace. Once we see how words can wound, we can begin using them as medicine. 2. Words as medicine, the Zen way of speaking. Speak only if it improves upon the silence. There's a reason why monks speak so little. It isn't because they have nothing to say. It's because they've learned the sacred weight of words. In Zen, silence isn't emptiness, it's medicine. It's the space where truth grows. But most of us have forgotten this. We speak to fill the silence, to defend our image, to control how others see us. And in doing so, our words lose their purity. They become noise instead of nourishment. Words can either heal or harden the heart. When spoken from stillness, they're medicine. When spoken from the ego, they're poison. The difference is not in vocabulary, it's in vibration. A young monk once asked his master, "How do I know when to speak and when to stay silent?" The master poured tea into the student's cup until it overflowed. The hot liquid spilled onto the floor, startling the monk. When your mind is like this cup, overflowing with opinions, judgments, and noise, your words spill without care. The master said softly, "Empty the mind first, then speak." The lesson is simple but profound. Mindful speech arises from stillness, not reaction. When the mind is quiet, words become clear, precise, and kind. When the mind is turbulent, even truth can sound like an attack. In Zen teaching, mindful communication must pass through the four gates. 1. Is it true? Falsehood pollutes not only relationships, but also the speaker's own peace. 2. Is it kind? Truth without kindness cuts deeper than lies. 3. Is it necessary? Not everything that is true needs to be said. 4. Is it timely? Even wisdom, spoken at the wrong time, can wound. Imagine if every conversation passed through these four gates before words escaped. The world would fall quieter, but what remained would matter more. Stillness before speech is the secret language of compassion. When you pause before speaking, you let your breath settle. You give space for wisdom to catch up with emotion. The difference between reaction and response is a single mindful breath. When you practice this, something miraculous happens. Your tone softens, your shoulders relax, and your presence deepens. Others begin to feel safer around you. You stop adding chaos to the world and start bringing calm. This is why in Zen monasteries, Monks bow before they speak to one another. It's not ritual, it's reverence. They acknowledge that words can either create harmony or fracture it. Each exchange becomes an offering, not a weapon. Notice how your body feels when you speak gently. There's a loosening, a quiet confidence. And when you speak harshly, notice the tightening in your throat, the heat in your chest. The body mirrors your intention. Healing speech doesn't just change relationships, it changes your nervous system. In the Buddhist sutras, the Buddha is described as having a voice like honey, not because he spoke sweetly, but because his words nourished whoever heard them. They carried no residue of ego, only truth delivered with love. That's why they healed. Your words are your energy leaving your body. Every sentence carries the quality of your consciousness at that moment. When you speak with impatience, you scatter energy. When you speak with peace, you spread peace. Notice what happens when your words carry intention instead of impulse. You begin to see faces relax, conversations soften, the world starts to mirror your tone back to you. People no longer brace when you speak, they open. That's the power of mindful communication. It's not just about talking, it's about transmitting peace through sound. And the truth is, this doesn't require perfection. You will still lose patience sometimes. You will still say things you wish you hadn't. But the more you return to awareness, the more your words become like prayer, clear, healing, alive. But healing speech isn't just about what you say to others. It begins with how you speak to yourself. Because the voice that needs your gentleness the most has always been your own. 3. Healing self-talk, the inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself becomes the way your body feels. You can't curse your reflection and expect peace in your heart. You can't whisper, "I'm not enough" every morning and expect your body to move with confidence. Every word you speak, especially the silent ones you say only to yourself, becomes a message your cells listen to. Most people don't realize this. The body doesn't speak English. It speaks vibration. When you repeat words of fear, shame, or self-blame, your body hears a command: tense up, protect, brace. But when you speak with gentleness, when you say, "I forgive you," or "I'm learning," your body loosens its grip, your shoulders drop, your stomach softens. The war inside begins to end. A Zen hermit once fell ill while living alone in the mountains. His fever burned for days and there was no medicine, no doctor, no one to care for him. But each night, as pain pulsed through his body, he whispered to himself, "Thank you, body, for carrying me this far. Thank you, pain, for reminding me I am still alive. May all beings who suffer tonight find comfort." At first his voice trembled, then something remarkable happened. As his words softened, his breath slowed. The fever broke. The pain didn't vanish, but it stopped screaming. Later, when asked how he healed, he smiled and said, "I stopped attacking my own body." Self-criticism is a slow poison disguised as discipline. You might think that being hard on yourself keeps you accountable, but in truth, it keeps you afraid. Fear does not motivate, it constricts. It makes you smaller each time you fail to meet your own impossible expectations. In Buddhism, there's a teaching about right effort. It doesn't mean pushing harder, it means applying energy in a wholesome way. You cannot bloom by berating the seed. You water it with patience, sunlight, and care. The same is true for the heart. Words are like seeds. Your body listens to everyone you plant. When you say, "I'm broken," your body believes it. It stops trying. But when you say, "I'm learning," your brain literally rewires. New pathways of hope begin to form. When you say, "I failed," your energy sinks. But when you reframe it as "I grew," your nervous system feels possibility. You are not hypnotized by the world. You are hypnotized by your own repetition. The sentences you repeat become your destiny. Try this. When your inner critic begins its familiar chorus, pause and breathe. Don't fight it. Just listen. Then gently replace its words with compassion. I can't becomes I'm beginning. I ruined everything becomes I'm still learning. I'll never be okay becomes this moment is teaching me peace. You will feel the shift, not in your mind first, but in your body. Your breath lengthens, your jaw unclenches, a soft warmth returns to your chest. This is not imagination, it's real. The mind speaks, the body obeys. When the mind speaks love, the body relaxes into life. In Zen, healing is not about fixing, it's about befriending. The Buddha himself said, "You, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." These were not poetic words, they were survival instructions. Without self-compassion, meditation turns cold, effort turns brittle, and life becomes a constant punishment. But when your inner dialogue turns kind, you stop bleeding energy. You begin to live from the center instead of from defense. Your life starts to flow again. Notice what happens as you practice softer self-talk. The breath slows down, the heartbeat steadies, the body feels safe again. That's not weakness, that's healing. The next time you hear your inner voice speak, ask yourself, would I talk this way to someone I love? If not, begin again. Because every time you choose a kind word toward yourself, you're teaching your body a new language, one it's been waiting to hear for years. And once your inner words soften, your outer speech naturally becomes medicine for others. Because the peace you offer yourself is the same peace you'll begin to speak into the world. 4. Speaking healing into relationships. A kind word can dissolve years of silence. Sometimes healing doesn't require a miracle. It only needs one sincere sentence spoken at the right time. You've seen it happen before. Two people on the edge of collapse, a family split by pride, a friend who hasn't called in years, and suddenly one word like, I understand, or I'm sorry, softens everything. That's the quiet power of compassionate speech. It doesn't erase the past, but it opens the door for peace to walk in. Words rebuild what walls once divided. When we speak from pain, we defend. When we speak from presence, we mend. Healing words don't beg to be right. They aim to restore. Because the truth is, being right has never healed anyone, but being kind often has. There's an old Zen image of a master who bows before his students every morning, not out of worship, but as a vow. I speak only to serve peace. His words, therefore, were never careless. Even when he corrected, it was done like tending a garden, removing weeds but never uprooting flowers. Kindness in tone is more powerful than correctness in logic. Think of how many arguments could have been softened, how many relationships could have survived, if we valued gentleness more than victory. We raise our voices not because we want to be heard, but because we fear being ignored. Yet shouting only proves one thing, that silence was never truly practiced. Healing speech begins not with the mouth, but with the pause before it opens. When you feel anger rising, pause. Breathe once, twice. In that stillness, you will notice the difference between truth and reaction. Reaction wants to strike. Truth wants to connect. Practice one simple vow. Pause before reacting. That single pause is enough to stop the cycle of harm that words so easily carry. The Buddha once said that speech should be like honey, sweet to the listener, nourishing to the heart. But in today's world, we've replaced honey with acid. We text before we think, post before we feel, and argue before we listen. Every word leaves a trail of energy. The question is, does your trail burn or does it bless? A young monk once lost his temper during a debate and insulted his fellow. Days later, he confessed to his teacher, ashamed. "Master," he said, "my words came from pride, not truth. How can I make it right?" The master looked up and said, "Apologize, yes, but more importantly, learn to speak as if every word was your last, because one day it will be." Gratitude heals what pride divides. That's why the second practice is simple. Thank before you correct. Before pointing out what someone missed, acknowledge what they got right. Gratitude disarms defensiveness. It makes space for understanding. Try it. "I appreciate your effort. Can I share another perspective?" Or, "Thank you for your patience. I didn't realize how my tone affected you." Notice how that small shift melts resistance. Your words become bridges instead of blades. And finally, end each conversation with warmth. It doesn't have to be poetic or long, just something that leaves the air clear, like, "Take care, I'm glad we spoke," or the simplest blessing from Zen monks, "May you be well." These words might seem small, but spoken sincerely, they leave invisible gifts behind. Healing communication is not about speaking beautifully, it's about speaking consciously. Every conversation is an opportunity to either repeat old pain or write a new story. Each time you choose presence over pride, you loosen a knot, sometimes in your own chest, sometimes in someone else's. And here's the quiet miracle. When your words change, the energy of your home, your relationships, even your workplace begins to change. The air feels lighter. The heart feels safer. The silence between people no longer feels like a wall. It feels like rest. This is what it means to speak healing into relationships. Not grand speeches or rehearsed apologies, just daily reverence for the power of tone, the pause before words, and the courage to speak with love. Notice the shift. The room feels softer, arguments lose their sharpness, and laughter returns like sunlight after rain. Because when your speech carries awareness, you no longer just communicate, you commune. But words do more than soothe emotions. They change your energy and even your biology. And that is where the deepest transformation begins. 5. The energy of speech. How words shape your world. Every word you speak vibrates through your cells. You may not realize it, but your body is always listening. Every tone, every sigh, every whispered complaint, it absorbs them like rain soaking into the soil. Words don't vanish after they're spoken. They echo through the body, the room, and the hearts of those who hear them. You might think you're just venting, but your cells are taking notes. Science now echoes what Zen masters have known for centuries. Your words are frequencies. They carry intention, an invisible current that shapes everything it touches. When your speech is calm, grateful, or loving, your nervous system shifts. The heartbeat steadies. The body releases oxytocin and serotonin, chemicals of peace. But when you speak with irritation or fear, your body floods itself with stress hormones. The chest tightens, digestion halts, and even your immune system dims its light. The energy of speech is not metaphor, it's vibration. In Zen, sound is seen as the bridge between the inner and outer worlds. When a bell rings in a monastery, monks pause, not for ritual, but to remember that all sound is alive. The bell's vibration reminds them that their own words ripple out the same way. A single tone can carry compassion or chaos. And like ripples in a pond, those vibrations always find their way back to you. A master once told his students, If you wish to know the state of your mind, listen to the tone of your voice, because the voice never lies. You can pretend with words, but your vibration always tells the truth. It reveals whether your heart is open or armored, whether your intention is peace or power. Every sound you make rearranges your inner world. When you bless your food before eating, even with a silent thank you, you change how your body receives it. Gratitude opens the digestive flow. Energy aligns. But when you eat while complaining, scrolling, or rushing, you swallow tension along with your meal. One feeds life, the other feeds fatigue. It's the same with your home. Speak blessings into the walls, and they begin to hold peace. Speak anger, and even silence feels heavy afterward. You've felt this before, walking into a room right after an argument, sensing the residue in the air. That's not imagination. It's energy, clinging like smoke after fire. A Zen monk once said that chanting is not about religion, it's about resonance. He explained, when we chant, we cleanse the air inside and outside the body. Each tone, he said, washes the mind like water over stone. It's not about the words themselves, it's about the intention behind them. Whether you whisper a prayer, hum softly, or simply speak kindly, you are tuning your frequency closer to balance. Your speech can either drain or restore vitality. Cursing your reflection drains the light in your eyes. Thanking your body, even for surviving another difficult day, restores it. When you say, I'm so tired of this life, your cells slump in agreement. When you say, I am learning to rest, they begin to breathe again. The Buddha often called speech a living action. Every word he said plants a seed that either brings you closer to suffering or closer to freedom. So when you speak, imagine your words as offerings. Ask yourself, is this sound creating harmony or scattering it? Speaking mindfully begins to feel like living prayer. You start to notice how each phrase shifts your inner weather. You stop rushing to respond and start tasting your words before releasing them, like checking the temperature of water before offering it to another. And slowly you begin to realize your voice is not just sound, it's medicine. When spoken with love, your words don't just heal others, they heal you. The more you practice, the lighter your presence becomes. The room is calm when you enter. Conversations soften around you. Even in silence, people feel safe near you. This is what happens when your words align with awareness. Your presence becomes medicine. You no longer need to prove, persuade, or preach. Your energy does the talking. So how do we keep this practice alive when the world around us is loud and impatient? That is where the deepest mastery begins, learning to carry calm through the noise. Healing speech doesn't mean speaking perfectly. It means speaking from presence. You will still stumble. You will still raise your voice. You will still say words you wish you could take back. But awareness changes everything. The moment you pause, breathe, and return to yourself before you speak, your words transform. They stop being weapons. They become offerings. Every word can become a blessing if it's born from stillness. This is the art of mindful communication. Pause before words. Speak truthfully. Speak kindly. Let your tone carry warmth. Let your awareness heal the space around you. Because no matter how chaotic the world feels, you always have this choice: to be the calm voice in the storm, to be the one whose presence brings others back to peace. The next time you speak, whether to your child, your partner, your coworker, or to your own reflection, remember you are creating reality. Each word you utter writes another line in the story of your life. Speak like a poet of peace. Listen like a monk in prayer. Let your words be medicine, not noise. So I'll ask you now, What word or phrase will you bring into your daily speech starting today? Write it below in the comments. Let it be your vow, your healing mantra. Share this message with someone who speaks from love or someone who needs to remember how. And if you seek weekly reminders to return to peace, subscribe and walk this Zen path with us. May your words be gentle, your tongue slow to harm, your silence wise, and your voice a bridge for peace.